So my name is André Vieira, and I'm a pre-sales senior manager. So I'm the principal architect in one of the major programs that we are doing, Celfocus transformation projects that are using AI. I'm also supporting the definition of the autonomous network offer that Celfocus is having. So Celfocus is a company with telco DNA, so with more than 25 years of experience. We are currently focusing on analytics and AI projects across the telecom sector, from the CRM until the networks. And we have a differentiator in the market that is to combine the different knowledge, the analytics, the data scientists, and the telco knowledge, the SMEs. So it's a pleasure to be here today.
Okay, Andre. In our preparations for this session, you mentioned that you feel too many people in telecoms talk about AI strategy, which you think is the wrong approach. Could you explain, please, to the audience what you meant by that?
Yes, this can be controversial, but AI is not a strategy. It's a powerful tool. But the vision cannot be AI. The telecom operators, they know what they are doing. The vision that they have, it's to reduce the costs in operations, is to provide a better customer service, and it should be driven like that. People should embrace the vision, and we all heard this phrase that these transformations are not led by technology, are led by people, and we all need to have a common goal. But AI comes along with it, so it's an enabler for this transformation, and it's very important to make this differentiator because it's the way that you get the teams, you get the vendors, you get the ecosystem aligned with the goal, and AI comes with it.
Okay. Um, Talk about the goals that we've been trying to achieve for a long time. So better customer experience, faster response time, fewer truck rolls, all that good stuff. None of these goals are new. So from the vendor's point of view, what has changed with AI, or what has AI changed? Perhaps is the way to look at it.
Well, the biggest change in AI is the attention that it has since the launch of Gen AI. So it has a lot of buzz regarding AI. There was some interesting talk regarding Jeff Bezos that was talking about the bubble, the AI bubble, that if it's going to burst or not. But he said something interesting that even if it bursts, at least you have the smartest minds on Earth looking at the AI. So this is getting a boom of tools, of frameworks, and the evolution of the AI is being immense. And we also seen some changes in the AI, in the technologies, and the maturity of the technologies that we are seeing from the last 3 years. So it appeared, and we can see it in our daily lives when we use it, or ChatGPT or Claude. We see the results that are improving in a way that we couldn't believe that it was possible. But the major change that also I'm predicting to 2026 is the change of the mindset to go away from the proof of concepts that we had in the last year and searching for the value, um, moving a bit away from the hype and to start the noise of AI, the noise of all the ecosystem to go away, and the people that are really delivering value to continue with these programs and as a natural part in the all ecosystems, the ones that are not delivering value to remove the noise that we are currently having in the industry.
Okay, well, people are already complaining that AI has failed because we haven't seen ROI that we expected. But maybe, as usual in telecoms, we're unrealistic about the timeline and, execution. We tend to approach new technologies almost like they're magic. And it turns out there's quite a lot of hard work always in deploying them because the systems we're applying them to were not
Mm.
designed with that in mind. So, it's always trying to figure out how to make it work because we are where we are. We can't throw it all out and start again. Um, you
Mhm.
also mentioned to me, André, that you feel that one of the core issues is the gap between people who are selling AI, who don't really understand it, and the very strong AI engineers who sometimes are more focused on the technology than business outcomes. So it seems like
Mhm.
we need to address a few gaps in understanding or in kind of join up thinking. And so there need to be some convergence in these sets of expertise and in, as you say, in these mindsets. So where are you seeing successes in the application of AI? What's it take and where are you seeing success?
You touch in some of the success. So the success is very simple. How you measure in a project is the return of investment. So I do an investment, I do a project, I see the delta of the automation that I make, and I see the investment that I return. So if it is positive, it is a positive project. So, and by the way, this is what normally the clients ask us, and they are very pragmatic to say what is the return of investment that they have for the projects. But also you talk about some points of the success. So it's to know your technology, as you said. So we are seeing some inflation in terms of selling the AI. So people that really don't understand what the AI can do. The Philippe Sarget pushes this very much on the agentic AI, so it's very realistic, and I completely agree with him. So it's not an easy project to put in production. But on the other side, you have people that are very far away from the business outcomes, and they are more focused on the next, as we call it, the shiny technology. And this is very dangerous because, as I was saying, this ecosystem is growing a lot. Every day we see new technologies. Every day we see a new startup on these. Um, I normally joke around in Medium that you go in Medium and the title is something is dead. So right now, the life cycle of products is it's can be very short or and it's important to make this bridge. It's important to make the bridge with the business of what is possible and with the technology, what I should use. And it's not always to use the best technology, it's to use the tool that is going to provide value. The other part in terms of success is in terms of the organization. This is a real change, and it's sometimes it's not easy to change the organization, to put people in boxes to understand how they can work together, how they can be a new department. There are new ways of doing the projects, and it's also to understand that AI, when we introduce AI in a project, we are going to have a margin of error, and we need to understand where it's possible for me to have this, and where it's possible to me to do it. So it's something that the teams need to work together, AI teams, and needs to work in the organization with the other teams, and they all will learn with each other. So an AI engineer will understand a bit about more telco, and the telco engineer will understand a bit about more an AI. In practice, is the success is to have this framework. So to do these bridges, to have these frameworks, and we can give examples in terms of the use cases that we are seeing a lot of return of investment. That is the anomaly detection, not with Gen AI. So not everything needs to have Gen AI. With good old machine learning and
Uh-huh.
the root cause analysis that is applying also the agentic AI to process the tickets that is helping the engineers. But at first, when we have these systems, not, to don't in the part of the success, to don't try to do it everything with AI, including the human in the loop. We have our lessons learned in the zero touch or trying to be completely automated at day zero. It's not a good strategy. And the last I would say is the energy saving. So the way that we can combine data and we can interpret data with AI, it's very important. It's being a game changer on the energy saving part on the telecom.
Interesting, because in my recent conversations with CTOs of some big groups, one of the things they've all said, it's a case of having the right AI in the right place. And sure, you could use agentic AI for this and that, but actually, why would you? Because when machine learning will do the job, for example, in the network. So I think that's a message that is beginning to be well understood. So concerning what you've seen so far, what are your recommendations for success? And I mean, you've sort of given us some indications. And also, could you give us any examples? Could you tell us about any particular success stories that you've witnessed? I do appreciate client confidentiality can make this really tricky.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I need to have it. So in terms of recommendations, if from again talking from my experience on delivering these projects, if I could do a golden book of recommendations of how a AI project can go well, I would start firstly by the acceptance criteria and the KPIs that are being measured. So as I said, AI and if you look and divided these in the machine learning and the Gen AI, you always have some kind of uncertainty. So this is not a normal software development project. This is not something that you develop, you have the results, and that's it. In the turnkey projects that we had in the past, it worked really well. But here, no, you have the acceptance criteria. You need to understand that you have a range of values that you can have, can be more or less good, and this is okay to be accepted. And this normally creates the most friction in terms of the projects because there is we feel that there is a gap of what the solution can do at day zero is delivering because these are solutions also that they evolve. So sometimes we explain to clients that this will be an evolution. The algorithms will be better and better with more data. Gen AI with these agentic systems with curated data sets will be better and better. We are implementing the reinforcement loops, um, but they have a way to do this part, and the acceptance criteria is very important and the KPIs that we are measuring. And the other part is, I would say that the second one is the human in the loop. Um, we cannot think that a system that we develop can completely automate everything and cannot be reviewed when we put in production. And again, as Philip was saying, people are becoming orchestrators of these automations. So they still need to have an action. And when the system are stable, the system are believed by and approved across the organization, yes, that part we can perform the full automation. Um, and last but not least, AI projects, some of them, not all, can or should be treated as innovation. So it's a way to understand and to pick a bit from the Silicon Valley way of thinking is to do projects and to understand quickly when the project is getting benefits or not, and be as quick to create a new project, but also quicker to kill it, and to be normal to do that, to be normal to do this experimentation. I was talking with some colleagues that were in the US in a development company that they have these parties that they do for the projects that they kill. So also for the people that are in the company to understand that this is innovation, you need to test it. No one is blaming anyone, and it's good for the people to test and to use their brains in this kind of innovation without any constraints. So maybe this is now a good approach to revive agile that was a bit a bit miscomprehended in the past year. So for these projects, maybe agile is going to make sense on this fail fast, learn faster, and recover faster. So in terms of without reaching any confidentiality in terms of the partnerships that Celfocus is doing for tier ones, we have one that is public, that is what we are doing in Telenet, and it's exactly that. So we see in terms of success working together with the customer having understanding of everything that is doing, how the AI or these systems evolve, how they work, to don't create as a black box, and this is understandable by everyone because everyone is on board. Everyone is on the again on the vision to solve the problem that we are using a tool. So this is what I think it's working really well. And on other bigger programs that we are working on is also to create these test cases that are a bit different in the AI area. So also to include as we know do these programs, include everyone in the day one to understand the test cases, to understand what is going to be the outcome, and to have the teams divided in a different way to explaining the value. And of course, to never forget in these projects that is not a development, and our developers and our team deliver something beginning the project this month, and only the client only sees in the next 3 months. No, the team needs to have the capacity to continuously train the tier ones. So it cannot be a knowledge transfer that you do at the end of the project with some documentation that you can do it with ChatGPT, but needs to be a continuous learning because people need to learn, and the best way to learn that we see in the last years is with hands-on and to see the code, to analyze the code, and to make questions, to take doubts with us in a daily basis.
So, the thing I don't quite get, Andre, is you're talking about AI and agentic AI making sense of the agile mentality, which is, fail, fail fast, move on. But it seems to me one of the trickiest aspects, which Philippe mentioned, is moving from maybe a proof of concept to production and scale.
Mm.
And I mean, that whole testing, and what if it works fine in the lab, but not so much on your live network? I mean, it seems to me
Well,
like you've got a serious problem there, right?
exactly. So this is why the testing is so important. So we even in Celfocus we have a joke that it works on my machine, and so it you need to have the tests, and when you deliver to production, you need to stress it, and you need to develop as a normal development IT project. So you need to have these gates of code review, of testing the platform, and what we are seeing that is more tricky right now is exactly on the agentic part, the machine learning. You have more frameworks. I think it's more mature on this side, but on the agentic, not that much. Um, because this is the part that we are seeing the frameworks are being created, a different kind of movements of how I should test it. What are the guardrails? The guardrails was a concept that was very vague last year or the last couple of years. I think now is being more mature. And again, this is all is touching with the acceptance criteria that we want. So this test needs to follow the acceptance criteria. What is a success in the project is what we said it to have a return on investment and the client to review that the solution is solid and it's not going to fail.
So, if the kind of thrust of my question was really about going from a proof of concept to scale, we have a question here from Shadi, whose name I hope I have pronounced correctly, and I'm sorry if I didn't. Um, who asks, since the capabilities and possibilities are not that clear to the business so far, how can you bridge the gap between and identify the areas that the business needs rather than kind of starting and failing? And I mean, I sort of guess that goes back to what you said about never mind the shiny technology. Let's start with what you want to achieve, yeah?
Yeah, so it's what I said to make the bridge. You need someone to make this bridge of the to understand the business constraints, to understand the business deeply, but also to understand the technologies, and again to don't go with the latest and shiny new object. So the bridge needs to happen. These discovery phases, more than the proof of concepts, I think people begin firstly to sit down and talk with each other, put these two teams talking with each other in a reasonable way, is the first step. And then, of course, the idea that comes along to test their value. But right now, I think the use cases are more or less defined, and the priorities are more or less defined of what works or not from these first use cases, and the roadmap. I think it's more clear.
So I have another question from our audience, Audrey. Ayad asks, for telecom operators building agentic AI systems, what are the biggest practical challenges concerning relying on third-party large language model services compared to running local LLMs, especially around issues like data sovereignty, real-time decision latency, and operational control? How do you see this balance evolving? So it's between sort of public LLMs and um, local ones, I guess.
Yeah, what we need to understand, and this can be a bit controversial, we don't need the power of the LLMs for the work that we are doing currently. So we
Okay.
we need the technology. We normally say this. I don't need the LLM to know Cervantes to analyze tickets from the 5G core. So it's doesn't need to be trained with this kind of information. So you have both options. It's in terms of it's a financial decision because the latency doesn't is not an issue for the public LLMs. In terms of sovereignty, we have the current situation that we all know in the world. We are living in the strange days, is if we can say. But I think the hyperscalers are adapting to this new world and the sovereignty. We are seeing some hyperscalers doing this movement to have the data centers, in this case, for instance, in Europe, and to maintain this sovereignty. One important point is that again, these systems are not trivial, but you can prevent for sending sensitive information to the LLMs. So again, the LLM doesn't need to analyze data from all your customers. It's there to do a task. It's there to understand an intent. And this kind of intents, some of the information are not confidential. It's a kind of intent. You don't have information of alarms, of clients, of network, of topology. It's just something that is going to orchestrate, and even the internal knowledge can be in a database on your premises. So there, in these cases, you can control it. But as a summary, it's a decision in terms of cost. So what you can do in terms of contracts with the hyperscalers and on-prem, and the sovereignty and the latencies we are not seeing as an issue. So
But also, is it true that if you use an LLM,
mm.
you retain control of your data and the inference? You don't, I mean, you use it as a tool, but you don't hand the data over. Or is that,
Yes,
does
so
it
but
depend on what
when
you
you're
use?
depends on the use.
Right.
And by the way, in terms of agentic, we are seeing the movements to not have the LLMs, but small language models
Yeah.
that are quicker and more focused on that. But you can control the data in terms of what you are doing the inference. So the LLM can be just the orchestrator that understands the intent and redirects from the data. And the vector database is that all the data that is embedding for the LLM to can talk with that can be a database managed and only accessible by the operator.
Okay, and on the subject of data, I'm just wondering if operators' data, or if operators' data models are kind of ready for AI. I mean, can you just apply AI generally, or do you need to do a lot more work on your data? And I guess it also depends on the kind of AI you're talking about too.
Yeah. So data is the fuel of all of that.
Yeah,
So it's the major constraint that we have in the projects is not if we have good data, the projects are very smooth. We are all happy, but yes, the data is the biggest concern. As I'm seeing in terms of maturity, it's better. It's better, but we are seeing now the movement to have the data products in order for everyone to aggregate the data, but in a way that can be consumed. We were seeing some movements in the market to have a data lake, we normally say that these data lakes cannot be as your garage. You cannot have everything. You need to begin to choose what you're going to have there. It's not to send dumps of data that doesn't have any meaning or is not going to be used. So I think this is the work that needs to be done. Understand what is the data that is really needed, but the data and or the data that is really needed are driven by the use cases that you are choosing. So first you choose the use case, and then you're going to treat your data. First you have the roadmap, and then you're going to choose what is the data that you need to create your data products, and also to be accessible across your company, because
I was
we
going to
don't
say
want
the
people.
question is how accessible it is then once you've chosen your use case and realized which data you need specifically, then how accessible is it is the next question. And does that
It
vary?
needs to be accessible. Yeah, it needs to be a data product. It needs to be accessible, and you need to have teams directed to that. We strongly recommend that this data governance and sovereignty is being done by the operators itself, driven by them, because this is information that, for instance, vendors like Celfocus doesn't or cannot have access. And treating this data, of course, they can have the frameworks, but they should have this driver and to create the data products across the company.
Okay, and we have another question here. I know we haven't. We've just got an edited version of the one we've asked, sorry. I'm wondering how much is cost an inhibitor because we've never seen so much money thrown at anything in the history of the human race. There's been, I mean, we've now considered billions as like a mere nothing. We're so used to hearing billion this and that. Um, but we've seen all this money invested in different areas of AI infrastructure and so on. Um, how much we don't seem to have seen much in terms of ROI for the people using it. Never mind the people who were doing the investing in data centers and whatnot. I'm just wondering, do you think, Andre, that that's just a matter of time and it's still we're still in early days, or what do you think about ROI?
Yeah, in terms, there are two worlds. Okay, there is the telco world that doesn't have the
Yeah,
billions of euros to spend in in AI, and then you have the what we call the funny money
hyperscalers.
in the Silicon Valley, the hyperscalers that
Mm.
are spending. There is being spent a lot of money. I think there is a lot of hype. There are people also getting money from these investments and try to consider as stocks. But for the operators, I'm seeing not the huge investment right now. They are more cautious because they really need to have the return of investment. I We had a lot of proof of concepts that were not. We understood that the path was not that way, but for the autonomous network, the numbers are there. The return on investment is there. We are seeing these results. But again, for specific use cases, not for everything. There are things that AI will not work, and it's very important to choose what AI will work or not, and to even if we have these ideas to test it, but to understand in a quick way if it's going to work or not. Don't try to have the 2 or 3 years programs that people are a bit stubborn to implement, and it's not going to anywhere. And the telco world doesn't have this this funny money as a Silicon Valley to throw away and to spend billions and billions of euros in the shiny object. Let's say.
So, really, to echo what Philippe said, it's incredibly exciting, but telecoms needs to proceed with caution.
Yeah, it is. It's a very exciting, and it's very easy for us to be catch on this hype and to begin to think that everything is going to be deal with AI, all the problems in the network or in the CRM, that AI is going to solve everything. AI doesn't solve everything, but it's for the people that love technology, as myself. It's difficult sometimes to don't be get up in all the new technologies that are appearing, trying to implement something. So we need to calm down on the things that are appearing and to understand what really works or not, and to have this
So,
pragmatism
remember,
because
it's a tool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
AI is a tool, it's not the strategy. It's something that we need to evaluate, not to put as the flag of the company.
Andre, thank you very much indeed.